Michigan Out of Doors Magazine's OD is brought to you by Michigan United Conservation Clubs, protecting Michigan's rights to hunt, fish, and trap for 75 years. And by Williams Gun Sight. Located in Davison, Williams Gun Sight has Mid-Michigan's largest selection of used guns with over 2,000 in stock every day. Check out the website to view inventory and prices. And by MSU Federal Credit Union, helping members achieve their dreams since 1937.
One of the big issues that's happening this fall is a bill that's been introduced recently in the House of Representatives to designate the wolf as a game species in Michigan. This is a historic bill that's really the next step in the line since the wolf has been delisted back in January of this past year. We caught up with a couple of guys who are very knowledgeable in this process and have been very instrumental in moving this issue forward.
So we have wolves in Michigan. I don't think that's a secret for anyone. They were delisted earlier this year in late January, which turned the management authority over to the state. Prior to that, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service had management authority. So what that really did for us is it opened up our ability to fully implement the wolf management plan, which was approved in around 2007, 2008. And so it opened up a lot of opportunities, things that we weren't able to do that were in the plan, that now we can look forward to trying to implement and talking to the public about how they'd like to see us implement that plan. With wolf management, the biggest challenge is just trying to look at all the social values and social interests and trying to make that happen. And for wildlife managers, a lot of the issues are managing the biology of a species usually isn't that complicated, but trying to manage the social aspects of it is very complicated. So with wolves, it's no different. The biology isn't that challenging, but figuring out where should we be, where do people want us to be, and how can we manage effectively for the biology of wolves and associated species, deer and everything else, and basically try to make everybody happy. And that's the big challenge. Right now with wolves, we've got a lot of activity happening. Although wolves were delisted at the end of January, we still had some restrictions for our toolbox, I guess, for management of wolves. And one of those is that wolves are not listed as a game species. So if the department wanted to use hunting as a management tool to resolve wolf conflicts, which is one of the specific aspects of the plan and the wolf roundtable was supportive of using public harvest to resolve specific conflict situations. We don't have that as an option currently because wolves aren't listed as a game species. Last week, actually, Representative Huke introduced a bill, House Bill 5834, that would designate wolves as a game species and allow the department through the Natural Resource Commission to establish its first season and set rules and regulations. So that it's been referred to a committee, but it hasn't had any hearings or anything. So before that's really a topic for us to discuss, it has to go through the entire legislative process. Once that's occurred, then we can begin having discussions and start looking at, all right, do we need a season? If we do need one, where might it be, and how might we use it to help resolve conflicts? You know, people are interested in wolves. Now's the time to keep your eyes open. Things are happening. They can happen fairly quickly, and it'll just be kind of an interesting time for people to keep track of it. We have a wolf website it's michigan.gov/wolves, and we're going to try to actually beef that up a little bit, make it a little more up to date, and that should be happening in the next few months. But it's got a lot of good information on it right now if people want to try to keep track of what's going on and take a look at the wolf management plan. It's posted there, and it will show you what we'll be looking at doing as we move forward.
The original Wolf Roundtable was formed, that's got to be 5 or 6 years ago, and it was put in place by the Michigan DNR to get some citizens input and advisory council, if you will, on developing the wolf plan, knowing that eventually the wolves were going to come off the Endangered Species Act, and our DNR wanted to be ready with a plan in place that could be supported by the various stakeholder groups. And I was invited, the Michigan Hunting Dog Federation, I was one of the representatives along with Matt Wood and Jim Ballard to represent that phase of the hunting community on that. There was 20 different groups there. It was roughly split 14, if I might, anti-hunting, very pro-wolf, and 14 more or less hunting groups. So it was a very balanced panel. And I was surprised the first day when they told us that all decisions that went into the plan had to be a unanimous vote by all 20 groups. And I'm sure that my fellow panelists thought this will never happen, but it did, and it was a very interesting experience. When we went in, of course, the Hunting Dog Federation represents about 52, 54 different dog groups in the state. And we're very active, like with the UP Bear Houndsmen and the Michigan State Bear Hunters and Michigan State Coon Hunters, Fox Hunters, those groups. So, of course, we met and put our heads together. What do we think should happen? And we went in thinking there's got to be a bottom line number. We shouldn't allow any more than, let's say, 400 wolves in the state of Michigan. And as we were educated on wolves as part of this panel, they had some people that had spent their whole lives reintroducing wolves. And as we were educated, it made sense to us that not all wolves are bad actors, if you will. Some wolf packs will trot right through a herd of beef and keep on going. And let's manage the wolves that are causing the problems, not just necessarily have a flat number to begin with. If there's a pack of wolves like the Baraga Plains pack that has consistently, year after year, killed hunting dogs, predated on hunting dogs, well, let's do something about that pack. If there's a pack that's bothering farm and killing livestock, well, let's step in and take care of that pack. And we could have a set number of wolves, like let's say we want 400 wolves, and we still wouldn't do anything about the bad actors. So at this point of the game, the hunting community, I think, wants to focus on taking care of the packs that are doing the damage. That's a good place to start in management. The original Wolf Roundtable had a provision in there for a public hunting season for management purposes. And that was written into the plan. They also had written into the plan lethal control of individual packs that were predating on livestock or free-ranging hunting dogs, and there's some different language for dogs close to home. So that's written into the plan for our DNR to eventually, as needed, do that. Well, before that can be done, really, any kind of a management hunt, they have to be declared a game animal. And I know Joe Hudson, the president of UP Bear Houndsmen, has been in contact with Representative Hookey up there involved in that. And he introduced the legislation that will make the wolf a game species. Before there can be a season on a wolf, any kind of season, the legislature has to declare it a game animal, and the legislature has to set the prices. Our DNR has nothing to do with the license prices. So this doesn't mean that we're going to, boom, have a hunting season. It just is putting things in place that were agreed to in the plan by all the various groups. So when and if the need comes to manage wolves in Michigan, and many people think the time has already passed, we should be doing it. This bill simply lays the foundation, if you will, so down the road at some point when there needs to be a management, and the wolves eventually are going to have to be managed, just like coyotes, raccoons, deer, elk, everything else, you know. So a lot of people think that this bill is going to, whoa, we're going to have a wolf season right away, and I don't believe that's the case. At this point, we understand that we shouldn't rush into a season. Wisconsin's tried to put a season in, and they're going to be tied up in the courts, and it could very well, because 5 years after they come off the endangered species list, they're on the watch list. And we got to be reasonable and sensible. But what we want, I know the dog groups want, is it is now possible for our DNR to start taking some surgical management tools, if you will. And there are 2 or 3 packs. Really, there's only 2 or 3 packs that are really hard on hunting dogs, and we're the Hunting Dog Federation, you know, and we would like to see the DNR start taking some surgical control. We're only talking maybe 5-6 wolves out of the 800 we have at the present time, and we're not lobbying for a full hunting season. I want that straight. That's going to have to come with time.
As you can see, this is a very complex issue. It's an issue that we'll need to stay on top of. And as it moves forward this fall, we'll also be catching up with Representative Matt Hookey, who's the bill sponsor. So once he gets back into town, we'll make sure to follow up with him, get his thoughts, and let him explain it to you also in his own words. So hope you'll stay tuned with us.